Number 1, McHenry County, from 2003, by Lars-Birger Spanberg. While this painting is titled McHenry County, the county just to the west of us, Spanberg's Midwest landscapes aren't necessarily real places. Spanberg takes inspiration from drives through the countryside with his wife, Dallas. But he's not simply reproducing what he sees. I spoke with Spanberg in his home in June 2017. He told me his paintings are made up of
combination of photographs, maybe some abstract ideas put into them. I compose when I do painting. I compose the painting to make a painting, not to imitate a certain place.
Spanberg was born in 1919.
Born in Värnamo, Sweden,
Okay.
which is the southern part of Sweden. And our family migrated in 1930.
He's lived in Deerfield for over 60 years. In the late 1930s, he went to the Art Institute of Chicago. In his Midwest landscapes, Spanberg hopes to illuminate what he calls the significance of the ordinary.
I think of the ordinary as being the stabilizing thing in our lives, the things that by which we measure most, not only events, but even our thinking. We measure it against what we consider to be norm.
Number 2, Prairie Plants, from 2010, by artist Janet Austin. This 4-paneled mosaic depicts an above and below ground cross-section of the local area, plant, and insect life. It combines traditional flat mosaic tiles with hand-carved ceramic stoneware. Evanston-based artist Janet Austin often works in sculpture and mosaic depicting the natural world, focusing particularly on species that are considered undesirable by humans, but that are essential to our ecosystem, like the snails, worms, and insects featured prominently. Austin hopes to show the importance of healthy soil and also identify some local plants. Number 3, Energy Form, by Robert Winslow. This abstract sculpture is made up of a large form and a smaller form tucked beneath it, both standing on 3 points. I spoke with Winslow by phone, he currently lives in Michigan, in May 2017 and asked him what his sculpture represents, if anything.
So this is like an organic, kind of like with molecular biology and stuff and how things grow.
It's part of a series of energy forms that Winslow made, the largest of which is the massive energy form commissioned for the corporate offices of McDonald's in Oak Brook, Illinois. That large work was something of a turning point in Winslow's career. Energy Form was donated in loving memory of Fred and Patty Turner. Fred Turner started as a fry cook at McDonald's and eventually was the chairman and CEO of the McDonald's Corporation. Winslow went on to develop a close relationship with the Turner family. The family became his patrons, including his works in their backyard sculpture garden in their Deerfield home.
These were the greatest people. I mean, they were really fine people. I love them.
Number 4, Nature Mort, by Xavier Velata. This 1953 Cubist still life depicts a carafe, a glass, a plate, and 2 green apples. While presenting these objects in a characteristically flat and diagrammatic way, Velata uses color to suggest depth and space. Look for the brown shadow cast on the table by the fruit, or the highlights of green, reflecting the apples off the edges of the carafe. If it reminds you of a Picasso, that's because it's by Catalan artist Xavier Velata, Picasso's nephew. He was very close to Picasso, often described as his brother, best friend, or as the artistic son Picasso never had. Xavier Velata lived in the family home in Barcelona and grew up surrounded by his uncle's art, one of the few people exposed to Picasso's work so early. Javier's mother, Lola, was a model for many early Picasso paintings. Imagine seeing your mother depicted in all sorts of styles by your uncle, a master draftsman and painter, pushing the boundaries of art. Though Velata had a successful career in France and Spain, in later years he was somewhat wary of living under Picasso's shadow. Nevertheless, critics do see him as developing his own style. This painting was donated to the library by Nathan Cummings when the library was built in 1971. Nathan Cummings was a businessman and philanthropist who founded Consolidated Foods, which later became the Sara Lee Corporation. Cummings also amassed one of the world's largest, most important art collections. Despite never completing high school, Nathan Cummings had an instinct for business and for collecting art, and he counted many artists, celebrities, and dignitaries among his close friends, including Pablo Picasso. Number 5. Agrippine from 1968 by Antoine Ponce. This large Carrara marble sculpture, Agrippine, stands on 3 points and features an almost Mobius strip-like swirl that unwinds from the center. Like many of Antoine Ponce's sculptures, it features a hole or open space in an effort to create a harmonious form, an idea he has compared to a rest or pause in music. French sculptor Antoine Ponce has had a long and celebrated career as an abstract sculptor, with pieces in many public parks, museums, and institutions around the world. He was born in 1928 and is still working today. Like other post-war modernist sculptors, his goal is to achieve a purity of form that can speak across languages and cultures. Ponce's smooth, polished marble sculptures are inspired both by forms in nature, think bone or muscle maybe, and abstract dream forms. He was the only student of the surrealist Hans Arp, an important artist known as the father of Dadaism. Agrippine is part of a significant breakthrough collection of works Ponce made in the late 1960s after visiting the marble quarry at Carrara, Italy. Ponce's friend, art collector and businessman Nathan Cummings, funded the project, writing to Ponce, "I will be your Medici." In 5 years, Ponce made 18 monumental works, each weighing between 3 and 7 tons. Nathan Cummings featured Ponce's sculptures in shows of his famous art collection at the National Gallery in Washington, D.C., the Metropolitan Museum in New York, and the Art Institute of Chicago in the 1970s. 3 of the sculptures made it to one of Cummings's businesses, the Kitchens of Sara Lee plant in Deerfield, in 1982. When the factory closed in 1990, the village asked if Sara Lee would donate the sculptures. Agrippine was placed in front of the library in 1991. Number 6. Altissimo. Also from 1968, also by Antoine Ponce. Named after Altissimo, the type of pure white marble Michelangelo used for his sculptures, this sculpture has been particularly noted by critics for giving the illusion of being light and airy despite its weight. Like Agrippine, it contains an open space as a kind of visual rest. This sculpture also emphasizes another musical characteristic of many Ponce sculptures. Look how the edges taper off gracefully, dissipating slowly like a note in music. Ponce said of his work that he eschews the, quote, drama of shadows, preferring a more open, accessible form that doesn't hide from the viewer. Ponce's sculptures reward viewing from different vantage points. Altissimo was also one of the Ponce sculptures originally erected at the Kitchens of Sara Lee in 1982 and has moved the most out of all the sculptures. It was placed at the corner of Waukegan and Deerfield Road in 1991 before moving to the Public Works building. It finally found a home in front of Village Hall, where the Deerfield Fine Arts Commission decided to create a line of sculptures that starts at the library and continues on through the Village Hall lawn. Number 7, Generations, from 2007, by artist Mary Block. This massive concrete sculpture depicts a mother and father looking at each other with their children wrapped around them. The interesting way they twist and lean towards each other was explained by Mary Block when I spoke with her in our studio in May 2017.
So there was a house a couple blocks from me that had some type of a tree that had these very gnarly, bendy, they were smooth kind of bark, but very gnarly, tall, slender trunks to them. And actually, I was looking at his yard thinking, oh my gosh, those could be family groupings. So what you have actually are 2 tree trunks that turned into families. And that is the reason for the interplay for them going back and forth if you look at them spatially, because that's exactly how the trunks were going there. They were going in different directions depending on how the wind had caught them.
Bloch's work was selected blind, without the knowledge that Bloch actually grew up in Deerfield.
What they were interested in was a sculpture that fit the community. Mm-hmm. But see, I had the edge because I grew up in the community and I knew what the community was about. So I said to them kind of, well, Deerfield, it's about families. Everything in Deerfield is about family. That is Deerfield. Right. It's the epitome of family.
While her work is figurative, Bloch says her work is primarily about space, a concern she shares with abstract artists.
When I look at my work as a whole, I don't do figures that are recognizable as figures, or animals that are recognizable as animals. I'm interested in the lyricism of that. I'm less interested in the representationalism of that.
With public work in many places around Chicagoland, Bloch is perhaps best known in the northern suburbs as the sculptor of the young man standing on a swing at the northeast corner of Central Avenue and Green Bay Road in Highland Park. Number 8, UnCorruptible, from 1968, by Antoine Ponce. Our last Ponce sculpture uses wordplay, as Ponce does in many of his titles. In this case, the word incorruptible is itself corrupted, uncorruptible. This abstract form evokes perhaps an ear, or a parent holding a child, or just a fascinating form. This sculpture was also originally part of the Nathan Cummings collection. Nathan Cummings' lifelong devotion to Antoine Ponce has been cited as, quote, an indication of the breadth of his taste and his willingness to go beyond the advice of art experts, many of whom consider Ponce to be a minor follower of ARP. This critical opinion may be due in part to Ponce's age. He is much younger than many of the modernist sculptors with which his work was exhibited. But Nathan Cummings was truly devoted to Ponce's work. Case in point, Cummings' 80th birthday party was written up in the New York Times as a social event of the season, attended by artists, socialites, ambassadors, and politicians. As part of the festivities, Cummings' friend Bob Hope popped out of a giant Sara Lee cake. The party favor for guests at the end of the evening? A miniature Ponce sculpture. Number 9, Untitled, from 2017, by Ryan Wilde. Wilde, a current Deerfield High School student, depicts the interaction of light passing through crystals against a deep purple background in this 10-foot by 20-foot mural. The mural was created under the supervision of DHS art teacher Michael Moran as part of the Deerfield Fine Arts Commission's new mural program. Moran used the mural as part of an experiential learning project for his advanced graphic design students. From a group of about 40 students, submissions were narrowed down to 6 students who presented their work to the commission with an artist's statement. The commission voted to select the winning entry. Moran also praised the work for giving the illusion of extending beyond the borders, with the bottom corners suggesting more crystal formations. The plan is for murals to rotate yearly in this space. Wilde said that the mural program presents a great opportunity for young Deerfield artists.